Chris Beard and Ole Miss will beat Michigan State and become the top story of the round of 8. We'll tell you how they're going to do it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast around. I am your host, Steven Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and former Ole Miss staff member as well. Today's show, we're talking about what is on the line when Ole Miss takes on Michigan State tonight in the round of 16. Ole Miss has already matched their best season ever in men's basketball in this game, and the Rebels have the ability to become the story of the tournament with a win over Michigan State in a game that has the smallest betting line of the round. It means Vegas thinks this has the best chance of an upset out of all of them. Today, we're going to tell you why beating Michigan State is a real possibility, and Ole Miss is a win away from being a force in the transfer portal and recruiting moving forward as long as Chris Beard stays in Oxford. Remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and a special hello to the insiders and everydayers who make this show what it is. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Chris Gordy at Locked On SEC or Corey Burton at Locked On Vandy offer even more perspectives on college sports, the SEC, and yes, even Ole Miss. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up and stay energized. Listen, Ole Miss has the biggest opportunity that they've ever had in men's basketball. I mean, you might say the Arizona game, they were up there, but this game gives them the opportunity in the age of NIL and the transfer portal and all of that stuff to take a monumental step forward by making an Elite Eight. When you get to the round of 8 in the NCAA tournament, the perception of your team changes. Just look at what happened with Florida Atlantic on Dusty May's last team when they made their Final Four run. Once they hit that round of 8, the conversation about them started changing. The players started being lifted up. And Chris Beard even talked about in the pregame press conference that a run in the NCAA tournament helps the draft status of the players on the team. And when this is all said and done, there's probably a player or two that's going to end up on NBA draft boards, per Chris Beard. This basketball game against Michigan State is absolutely massive for what it can accomplish. Now, as far as anything bad can happen, nothing bad can happen. Ole Miss has equaled their greatest run of a men's basketball team in their history, no matter what. Before the game even tips off, you are guaranteed to, at a minimum, lose in the round of 16. That is the way that looks. When you want to tie the Jason Harrison team, the Rod Barnes team from 2001 that lost to Arizona, that is the minimum of what could happen. But the opportunity that exists for Ole Miss to become the darlings of the NCAA tournament is out there. It's a very real thing, to where everybody is talking about how this point guard, Sean Pedulla, or the big man, Malik Dia, or Dre Davis really showed out against Michigan State, a team that is an elite rebounding team. These are all the stories that you will hear on repeat until Sunday if Ole Miss beats Michigan State. It's the first game tonight on CBS, 6:09 Central Time. Bill Rafferty, Grant Hill, the A-team, calling the game from State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Everything is ahead of what could happen to Ole Miss. Nothing negative can happen, everything positive. We've officially hit that point of a basketball tournament to where you're just playing with house money. Ole Miss, we talked about all season. I think this is a second weekend team. I believe this is a second weekend team. Some people were saying this was not a second weekend team, but the discussion was this team good enough to make the second weekend of the NCAA tournament? Well, that discussion just got squished. It got smashed. It got destroyed. It got devastated. Anybody that had that take probably should be ashamed of it at this point. But it's just a take. It's just what it is. But this Ole Miss basketball team, we have seen over the course of this season when they play their best, when they play their absolute best, and it's not Auburn or Florida, Ole Miss wins the game. Against Alabama on the road, Ole Miss played well, won the game. Against Kentucky at home, they played well and just blew them out of the gym. Ole Miss does have the ability, if they shoot well, to blow you out of the gym. Against Tennessee, the great comeback. Against Arkansas twice, in Fayetteville and at a neutral site, Ole Miss won the game. Against BYU on a neutral site, they won the game. And against Purdue, the game went to overtime, that because of a NC State level air ball and a putback at the end of the game, Purdue was able to win the game on a last second shot in overtime. Ole Miss has won 6 games against Sweet 16 teams this year. This Ole Miss basketball team is legit. They're playing well and they're white hot at the moment. And because of that, there's not a team in this tournament, that Ole Miss can't beat. Especially if Matthew Morrell is making three-point shots like he did against Iowa State. Whenever he is making three-point shots, Ole Miss becomes almost unguardable offensively. Iowa State, who was a fantastic defensive team. You talk about Michigan State being a good team. Iowa State was a better turnover-producing defense than Ole Miss this season. Ole Miss scored 91 points and just made Iowa State quit with a minute to go in that game. It beats all I've ever seen. All of that moving forward, the win over North Carolina, the win over Iowa State, if you beat Michigan State going into either a fourth matchup with the Auburn Tigers or a matchup with the Michigan Wolverines, you become the story of the tournament. And if Ole Miss makes it to the Final Four, look out. It's going to be a week-long thing of talking about this Ole Miss Rebels team. And they can do it. They literally can. If you look at Vegas, if you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook odds, Michigan State's only a 3.5-point favorite in this game. That's roughly a possession. A game that I think FanDuel thinks is going to be a rock fight, even though they set the over-under at like 143, to where they're thinking like a 73-70 type game. And I'm wondering if they're going to score that much. I think this game has a chance to be a major league rock fight. And there's certain things, one way or another, that is going to determine who wins this game. Listen, every team that's in the tournament right now can beat the other team. No team is infallible, and it is perfectly okay to have confidence in your team. So I'm not mad at all the Michigan State fans that are talking about this, not understanding why I would pick Ole Miss to win the game. But when you look at the little things that are going to happen in this game, and you have a matchup between Chris Beard and Tom Izzo, which are 2 Hall of Fame level coaches. Beard still has some time to put in. Izzo has already put a couple of decades in, but these are 2 very high level basketball coaches, which means they're going to have extremely well-coached teams. So it's going to come down to, can Michigan State get a couple of rebounds in the game? They're an elite rebounding team. Ole Miss is struggling rebounding the ball. Can Ole Miss make up for those rebounds by turning Michigan State over? Or is Michigan State going to take care of the basketball? You're going to be in a State Farm Arena. Michigan State has not looked very good in the half court this season. We talked with Matt Sheehan yesterday, and he talked about, hey, Ole Miss shouldn't go in for an offensive rebound probably the whole night, because if you can force Michigan State to play half-court offense, sometimes it looks problematic. If all of that stuff starts snowballing and you end up in a really tight game, the thing that got my attention is Matt Sheehan said that over the course of this long run that Michigan State's been on, it's been a kind of all blowouts. Every single tight game, just about, they've lost down the stretch. So if you can get it down to the stretch, they're not shooting free throws as well as they were. They're not shooting outside as well as they were. If you can make a tight game, which Chris Beard teams are known to do, you have a chance to win the game in winning time, which Ole Miss has done repeatedly over the course of this season. The last 5 minutes of this game, winning time, will be of the utmost importance. And I'm very excited about what could happen there. I mean, this is exactly why Ole Miss brought in players like Dre Davis and Malik Dia. Their athleticism could very well be the key to breaking Michigan State's defense down, which thrives in running teams off the three-point line. We break it down next. You know, we're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. When it comes to the new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are at an MVP level. And with the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, you can quite literally carry a whole team, and plus every single North Carolina and Iowa State tier, plus all the gear, whatever you need to go, you can carry it all with the Nissan Armada Pro 4X. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails, rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take adventures to new heights with the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Listen, March is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the nets. I've got my own a few underdogs tonight. Obviously, looking at Ole Miss plus 3.5 points against Michigan State, the smallest line of the entire round of 16. And Kentucky is a 4.5 point dog against Tennessee, who they beat twice this season. I mean, Vegas has reasons for everything they do, but we'll see exactly how it goes. FanDuel makes it easy to back them with the spreads, totals, and game props, though. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. FanDuel app is super simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. So this is the game that Ole Miss recruited Malik Dia for. This is that game. Dre Davis. This is the reason they recruited Drake Davis to this game. And this is why I think Ole Miss is going to win the game. The athleticism of the Ole Miss bigs is going to be the exploitable mismatch for Ole Miss in this game away from the rim. I think this game has a chance to look a whole lot like the second half of the Ole Miss-Tennessee game, where Jaemyn, Brakefield, and Malik Dia and those guys, they used their athleticism to get to the rim, finish at the rim, and they were able to chip away and kind of counteract the really good shooting and really good players the Tennessee Volunteers have. Malik Dia has the chance to have the type of game that propels him up NBA draft boards to the point where all of a sudden people are talking about Dia as a big-time player. I think that can happen as well. I think both teams' guards will get theirs in this game, but they're not going to be the group that decides this game. I think both teams' guards are going to kind of counteract each other, and because of that, you have a situation to where you need front court players to do that. And we talked with Matt Sheehan yesterday, and he talked about lateral movement of some of the big guys is not where it needs to be, which means that should be advantage Jaemyn Brakefield. That should be advantage Malik Dia. That should be advantage Dre Davis in that situation. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. So the keys to victory in this game is pretty simple, in my opinion. I think that Ole Miss needs to not allow Michigan State to get into transition and force them to play against the set defense. Michigan State on the run, whenever they're able to take a steal or a rebound and get out on the floor and run, they're good at getting line. They're good at drawing fouls. They make their free throws generally. And because of that, Ole Miss needs to drop back and play a set defense against Michigan State, because that is the area that they have struggled with over the course of this season. Michigan State's a really good team. I mean, it's all of relative proposition, but to beat them, you cannot allow Michigan State to have easy baskets or transition baskets. And also, don't get mauled on the boards, okay, versus Michigan State in the round of 16. The goal should be losing the rebounding battle by 10 at a minimum, make that the maximum amount that you're able to lose. Michigan State is an elite rebounding team. They're very good offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. if you're not careful, it could look like the first 5 minutes of the Iowa State game, and Ole Miss needs to handle what's going on there and kind of play a little bit closer to even so they have a chance to make this next point, play another clean game and force turnovers that allows you to steal possessions back from elite rebounding. Turnovers is where Ole Miss is going to be able to get possessions back against the Michigan State Spartans, and it should be really big. And Malik Dia, he's a big part of this, both in the rebounding battle and the defensive battle, and the fact that he's an offensive player that can take advantage of their big men down low. Malik Dia is a mismatch problem in this game. He is somebody that if he goes off, and we all know the consistency with Malik Dia, it hasn't been there this season. There's been some games like against Alabama to where he went for 20-20. And there's some games when he's gone for 11-2. Closer to that Alabama game needs to be the way that Malik Dia plays. Because you're playing against a Michigan State team that is going to remind you a lot of what Tennessee does. And the potential for an absolute rock fight is there. An extremely low-scoring game to where every point is going to matter. And because of that, Malik Dia getting to the foul line, Malik Dia rebounding, because he has the ability, unlike a lot of Ole Miss's bigs, of playing bully ball. He can play bully ball with you. Ask North Carolina. In the beginning of that game, they realized that you're not going to be able to push this guy around. So if Malik Dia is ready to play and good to go, that is excellent news for the Ole Miss Rebels. And remember, against Iowa State, it was 2 Malik Dia 3-point shots that actually stunted the Iowa State run and led to a 20-2 Ole Miss run in that game. But Malik Dia down towards the basket, ready to fight, get nasty. If he is willing to do that with Dre Davis, if he is willing to do that with Jaemyn Brakefield, the Ole Miss front court is going to be able to compete a little bit and maybe not get mauled on the boards. I think Jaemyn Brakefield athletically, especially on the offensive end, is going to play a huge role in this game tonight. In SEC play, he averaged nearly 13 points a game as a sixth man, 4 rebounds, 1.7 assists. As long as he stays in control, he's kind of locked in. The fact that he can use both hands and his athleticism, it's a problem for bigs having to deal with him because they do not see that very often in whatever league they're in. It's not a shot at them, but players like Jaemyn Brakefield, as far as being ambidextrous and the pump fakes and the moves he has towards the rim, he's a very below the rim player, and he's very good at it. So we'll see how it goes as well. I'm pretty fired up about what could happen in this basketball game. I think there are some matchups for Ole Miss that they can exploit, especially the bigs athletically against the Michigan State bigs. Now, they're going to rebound, but I'm expecting Ole Miss to do a lot like they did in the Tennessee game in the second half, to where Ole Miss is playing a lot of 5-out, to where isolations are set up on the big men with Jaemyn Brakefield, with Malik Dia, and guys that are going to be trouble. You can make it to where you can't help, because if you help, you're going to leave one of the 3-point shooters open, and all of a sudden this becomes an offense that is very hard to stop. Matthew Morrell, like I said, will be a massive key in this game because of what he can do. If his shot is falling and his defense is there, Ole Miss has an excellent chance to take down the Michigan State Spartans. Remember, every team in the tournament at this point, I know I keep saying this over and over again, every team in the tournament at this point is a good team. Every team in the tournament at this point can beat you. Whether you're Florida or Auburn or Houston or Duke, any of the 4 seeds can lose in a Sweet 16 game and nobody would blink an eye. Nobody would shudder a thing. Nobody would be surprised if Michigan State beat Ole Miss. Nobody would be surprised if Ole Miss beat Michigan State. It's just the nature of the beast at this point, and we have such high-level basketball right now because of the lack of mid-majors. Everybody likes some mid-majors. Everybody enjoys the story. If McNeese would have made it to the round of 16, that would have been the story of the week. But nobody wanted to see a game where McNeese State was going up against, say, I don't know, Duke. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wanted to see McNeese State versus Auburn. Nobody wanted to see McNeese State versus Florida. They wanted games that could literally threaten the number one seeds, and you've got them. You've got them all over the place. Maryland against Florida. Maryland can absolutely get Florida. Maryland's a good basketball team, and they've got the greatest nickname since the Fab Five. They call their starting lineup the Crab Five, and it's fantastic. If you've been to Maryland, you understand. Crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does. So all of these games have a chance to be absolutely massive, and I'm so fired up for what could happen. And as we record this, the Sweet 16 games on Thursday haven't happened yet, but we'll see. All right, just to let everybody know, today I'm starting my pre-operation appointments. So next week, the plan is to move to one show per day, Monday through Friday. The week after that will be Brian Smith taking over. We have some shows that need to be done and put in the evergreen thing, so I need the extra time to do that. If Ole Miss wins tonight, I will continue to get Michael Katz and talk to Ole Miss people. I will do multiple shows a day, multiple times, even while I'm doing those evergreen shows. It'll be a busy week, but I'll gladly do it. So we'll see exactly how that goes for Ole Miss tonight. Should be a really, really fun game, and I'm looking forward to it. Listen, in our final segment, we give our final thoughts on a game that ranks among the biggest in Ole Miss basketball history, plus our predictions. Don't miss it. Next. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. With extra sunshine, that means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching NCAA tournament games, squeezing in an extra round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching all of the tournament action. The 5 Hour Energy helps me keep up the next day. With longer days, I love getting outside for a walk. Tropical Burst is my go-to for a quick boost, by the way. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and helps me keep feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. You need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocer or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
So, looking at our very last pick, we're going to have our final thoughts of what's going on, give you our predictions in this game in a couple of minutes. And it reminds me, we have this basic scheduled tweet of these three players that I think need to play well. And basically, whenever these three players play well and you get the normal stuff out of Juju Murray and Sean Pedulla, Ole Miss becomes a very threatening team. I think Dre Davis and Malik Dia, they are the bigs and with the athleticism, with Jaemyn Brakefield, that have the ability to pull apart the Michigan State bigs. Matthew Morrell shooting the ball, if he is really good outside the arc, that could be problematic for the Michigan State Spartans. Remember, Michigan State is one of the best in the country at three-point percentage defense. That means they're long and they're athletic at the guard positions, and they're able to cut down on shooting lanes. So it's going to be imperative for Dre Davis and Malik Dia to kind of open up that middle of the defense to make the defense have to worry about the inside and collapsing down, opening up three-point shots. When Michigan State have lost games this year, especially at the end, is whenever it's been a relatively tight game down the stretch. They dropped a game in the Big Ten tournament against Wisconsin. They've lost games on the road at UCLA, who's a pretty good team. They got beat by USC, which is not a pretty good team. But they lost 3 or 4 in February. Both Michigan State and Ole Miss went through those lulls. When Ole Miss does it, it's usually because they got mauled on the boards, and Michigan State has the ability to maul you a little bit on the boards. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to seeing if Ole Miss can turn over Michigan State. This is going to be a high energy, high intensity basketball game that is just going to be fun for Ole Miss fans. Again, I talked about earlier in the show, Ole Miss is playing with house money right now. They are, at a minimum, have guaranteed the best season in the history of Ole Miss basketball. Not number of wins or anything like that, but a Sweet 16 loss is guaranteed. That is the minimum of what's going to happen. So we'll see. And also in this game, I think it should be noted that Michael Brown-Jones might be back for this game. He is back practicing after his personal reasons absence from the team, starting with the SEC tournament and in the first round. He is back practicing with the team. And at a minimum, that it kind of adds 5 fouls. At a minimum, you don't have to worry so much. Malik Dia doesn't have to play so much. You don't have to worry about foul trouble as much because Brown-Jones can kind of handle things as well. Now, I am worried about the chemistry of a new player coming back, but it is going to extend your bench from 7 to 8 players or 8 to 9 players. It's going to give you a little bit more depth, and that's going to be a big deal. In this game, I'm expecting a major league rock fight. I've said this for multiple days. I'm expecting a game that only defensive stalwarts want to watch. It's a war. I am thinking that shots are not going to be made. It's going to be very herky-jerky. You're going to see a whole lot of Michigan State running half-court offense and Ole Miss trying to fight over those threes in the Michigan State defense. It's going to be a tough, nasty game that in the end, Sean Pedulla is going to hit a three, set it up to where fouls have to happen in the last minute, and Ole Miss is going to win the game 59-53. That is my prediction. I predict Ole Miss will go to the Elite Eight and become the story of college basketball after beating Michigan State, probably setting up a rematch for the 4th time against the Auburn Tigers or a game against those twin 7-footers in the Michigan Wolverines. I think that game against Michigan, out of the 4 teams on there, Ole Miss probably matches up worst against them because of the size and everything that happens. But because of the athleticism in the front court, if Ole Miss can prove something against Michigan State, I think Ole Miss and Auburn have a chance to do something interesting in a 4th matchup. And by the way, make no mistake, Auburn wants to play Michigan State in the next round. They do not want to play an Ole Miss team that, if they would have shot a little bit better in the SEC tournament from the outside, they just missed open looks. They had the looks. It wasn't a situation that Auburn just guarded them. If they make those, Ole Miss wins the game. Auburn does not want to see Ole Miss for a 4th time. But Ole Miss has to get through Michigan State. I think Michigan State is going to lose to Ole Miss 59-53, and it should be a whole lot of fun for what's going on. Anyway, thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the #1 Ole Miss podcast. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. March is here, so be the most informed college basketball fan throughout all of the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Tonight after the game, win or lose, we'll be doing an instant overreaction. And hotty toddy, everybody. Remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.